Welcome to the Daughters of the Road podcast. In this space, we envision cultivating a community that inspires, empowers, and supports women in the motorsports culture, and cultivates seeking adventure, creating perpetual bonds between sisters, and honing in the skills necessary for navigation throughout life. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Brandy.
And we are
Daughters of the Road.
Today we have a very special guest on. We got Margaux Alvarez. She's a Las Vegas local that is dominating globally in many different facets of life. Margo competed in the CrossFit Games while simultaneously growing her winemaking business called The Goat Wine. In addition to her own personal fitness app, Celeste, by MA, Margaux Alvarez. In 2015, she was dubbed the 9th in the Fittest Women in the World list, and she's competed in the Titan Games on NBC, American Ninja Warrior, and many other elite programs. In 2021, she decided to go after her motorcycle endorsement, completing her riding academy class at Red Rock Harley-Davidson. After that class, she's joined in on many rides with the Sin City Moto Girls. Brandy can attest to that.
Yep.
Yeah. Including hopping on highways, riding 500 miles back and forth to California, lane splitting going through California. Yeah, she rode a dirt bike for her first time with us. Yeah. With a hiking backpack on. She was ready for the adventure. But we're so lucky to have her joining in on Daughters of the Road podcast to share her story and provide tons of motivation for us all.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm blessed and honored, so I'm grateful that we get to share this space together and talk and discuss all the things.
Yes. Me too.
Yes.
All right.
So it's funny because we immediately welcomed you in to this riding group, basically. And we were like, oh, yeah, she's coming to ride. No worries. And we never even asked you. It's funny because we've gone on so many adventures, but we never asked you why you even started riding.
Yeah, you just jumped in. It was like no questions asked. I was like, I met you at the table when you were signing paperwork for your motorcycle. And then I was just like, that girl's cool. I want to hang out with her. And then it was instantly like a bond, and like, that's awesome. But we never ever asked your story. So when people even asked me, I was like, I feel like I know Margo pretty well, and we've shared like a lot of experiences, but that's a damn good question. I don't know. So Why did you start riding?
So I've had some friends that have ridden over the years, and I've always be interested. I'm always curious, and I was like, man, it seems so freeing. It seems so connecting with the outside or connecting with the present. I mean, road, obviously, but just the nature around you. And I was like, man, I really want to ride. And I think the first time I kind of got maybe like a parallel to that was in 2019 before the CrossFit Games, competing as a team. We went out to some friends, and they had the water skiers or
Jet skis.
Jet skis, there we go. I clearly missed that. Jet skis. And so we're out there, and these people have become really good friends of mine. And we went out there, and I was on the jet ski, and I was going super slow at first, 20 miles an hour. And they're like, Margo, you need to go faster. I was like, bro, I don't know, but this feels amazing. I just had this shit-eating grin, crap-eating grin, excuse me.
Okay, we cuss on here.
Okay, good. Because I have a sailor mouth, so let me know if I need to tuck it in. But I just had this huge shit-eating grin on my face. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, if this is what's riding, what it's like to feel like and be on a motorcycle, I was like, I need one immediately. This is just... I just literally, it's one of those, you see those cartoons, the dogs with their happy face. I was like, that's what I felt like. And I was like, all right, if this is what it feels like on here, I need to get a bike. And so that just kind of lingered inside of me. That wasn't the first time I've had friends for years that have ridden. I was like, I really want to ride. I really want to ride. I just taking that step and taking the course or signing up for it and, not knowing the first step or wondering what do I need to do to get there. And so when that was, again, 2019, so when I came back, I was like, all right, what would be the next steps to eventually get there? And then looking up the courses, looking up the classes, and I would go into Red Rock Harley, and I just look around at bikes. I'm like, ooh, these are pretty. I'm like, ooh, these jackets, and I just kind of perused and eye shopped for a while. And then I can't remember specifically when, but I was like, I really want to do this. And I was talking to Alex for a while. I was like, I really just want to sign up, but I was kind of hesitant waiting. I was like, you know what, F it, let's just do it. I'll sign up, just take the course and go from there. And when I took the course, it was April of 2021, and I remember getting on the bike, and I was like, oh man, I'm a little scared, I'm a little nervous because this thing's underneath me, and it's to have that control. And yes, I'm strong, and yes, I feel comfortable lifting weights and doing whatever I need to do physically, but it's now it's a little different. And so I think there was a hesitation of being a little nervous, a little hesitant. But for me, and I was talking to a friend earlier about this. It's like, I've always had the attitude is like, if I'm going to do something, I'm just going to throw myself into it, like in a positive way. I'm going to like sign up. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try. And if I don't like it, if I don't do it, then at least I'll know. But I knew that I was like, I know I'm going to like this. I know I'm going to love this. And after that course, I was like, all right, cool. Like now I need to get a bike.
Yes. And that's the cool thing. Like, I love that you just propel yourself forward. Like, you don't hold yourself back and take like tiny bits of steps. You're like, let's go, let's run it.
Let's go, bitches.
Yes. I love that. And I wanted to bring that into the next question, is that most women start out thinking small, right? They think, I'm going to get on a Honda Rebel or a Street 500, and they make this investment, but before you know it, they're ready for the next thing. Yeah. So what in your mind did you wire to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go get this Lowrider S. This is going to be my first bike.
Yeah, why did you choose that bike?
It's funny because I was looking at bikes probably for like months before I even signed up for the class. I'm like, ooh, what bike would I want to get? Like, I went through, I think I talked to a lot of friends that rode as well. One of my friends, Dan Bailey, he actually had a motorcycle, and he'd come out to visit, I want to say in 2019, 2018. And I've had friends that rode Indians and Harleys, and I was just like, wasn't sure. And so people would suggest or say, hey, you know, you should check out the kind of variety of bikes. Maybe start with a smaller bike like the 883 or like the Street Bob. And I was kind of looking at different options, and I was like, oh man, like I was kind of talking to people, and people were like, oh no, it's like, you're not, the Sportster's too small, the 883 is too small, you're not growing. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, and I get people that have ridden for a while, like, and I get that now, I understand that now, because it's like you've ridden, you're like, all right, you're gonna want a bigger bike. And so when I was test riding them out, I was like, oh man, like I don't know, I wasn't sure. And I don't think I even test rode the 883. I think I went straight to like the Street Bob, because like that's really cool. I liked the higher like handlebars. I liked the shape of it. I liked the design of it. And it was funny because I was looking at bikes. There was these two older ladies. I want to say, I don't even know how old they were, maybe like 50s, but they looked so badass. They had like their chaps on, their vests on. I was like, man, these ladies are amazing. I want to look like that when I'm 50. I want to be like that when I'm 50. But she was telling me, she's like, oh, I love the Street Bob, like just all about it. And then the other one was like, I really love the Fat Bob. So I was like, all right, well, maybe the Fat Bob. But I was like looking at all the bikes, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I kind of like the Lowrider S. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. And after test riding it out, I was like, I think it resonated with me. And it was funny because I think I was talking, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to someone about like, you know, in terms of the bike, like the Street Bob has a little more maybe kick in the beginning, but then it kind of settles out. But then with the Lowrider S, it's a little maybe smoother in the beginning, but then it can you can really open it up on the road. I was like, oh, maybe that's what I want. I think I just connected with that somehow. And so that's where I made a decision. I was like, all right, that'll be the bike. And I think I think it maybe felt a little big in the first beginning kind of steps, but I was like, oh, I know I'll grow into it. And now I'm like, this is amazing. I love it. It's perfect. And I know we talked about like, oh, the ST, and I was like, oh man, I kind of want to make this bike my bike before I get anything else. But it's like, I know I eventually want a road bike so I can travel and go long distance. Not that I can't with this, but I know there's a lot more like your bike. Like there's so much more that I want to do, but I kind of want to make my bike my home in a way where I want to change the saddle bars. I want to add a fairing. I want to add a windshield. I want to I want to get heated grips because the winters here are cold as balls.
That's the first thing I did, mind you.
So yeah, that's the first thing that I asked about. But unfortunately, I guess with all like the production stuff, we weren't able to get me heated grips yet. Yeah, I heard they're back ordered.
That's what I heard. I was like, so in the very near future, I'll be adding that.
Yeah, we should just get on the waiting list. Yeah, we definitely need those.
I should.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. That's after that track riding day, my hands were frozen.
Oh my gosh. So talk about that a little bit. So I love how you jumped into riding motorcycles like super fast. You didn't you took, of course, some practice laps, I'm sure, around your neighborhood or whatever, like you did to prepare yourself. But you were so excited to learn more. Like you signed up right away for the track training day that Red Rock Harley throws. Mm-hmm. And I remember you being the first year, like you hadn't even been riding a year and you were out there on the track.
Yeah, I remember when I signed up, I was like, all right, I think this was a hesitant point because I didn't want to buy a bike, I think, until I did like the extra, the advanced training. I knew I wanted to take more classes, even if it was like a one-on-one with one of the instructors. I was really hesitant to buy because I was like, well, I feel like I need to just get more experience under my belt before I actually continue forward. But it was kind of like, all right, well, are you going to do it? Or are you just going to say it? Like, are you just going to actually talk about it or actually take action?
That's my mom.
So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, F it. I'm just going to get it and sign up. And then, so I was like, I had the bike. I would literally ride around like my little kind of housing area. And then I'd ride to Red Rock. And it's like, this was like the middle of summer. And I'm wearing this big ass jacket with like protector. I'm like sweating my balls off. And I'm like, all right, it's really hot. But I'm like, again, I'm new. I'm like, I don't like, what if something happens? I was just being super cautionary. And again, it's like more practice, specifically Red Rock. I didn't want to go down on the streets or anything down like Sahara, however you say it, Charleston. I just wanted to kind of avoid that. So I just got more practice. But I was like, all right, if I want to become a better rider, I know I need to put myself in an environment that's going to get me outside of my comfort zone. So when I saw that track training day in 21, I was like, all right, I got to do it. I signed it up. And I was a little nervous and like did not have the right gloves. My hands were frozen, had summer gloves, but I was like, I'm here. I'm going to learn. I'm going to get better. And it was night and day from when I went there to when I left. I was like, everyone should do this, no matter how much experience. Obviously, I get you want to be comfortable going, but I mean, the speeds weren't super crazy because we're on the track. But the instructors were incredible. You guys, Red Rock Harley was incredible because it just essentially you take it to whatever speed you want, your level that you're at. And I think for me, it's like I wanted to push that level a little bit more because like the only way I'm going to get that envelope to open is to be like not be resistance, but give some resistance or give some push to it so I actually can get better. And it was incredible. And I was like, I told everyone afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I signed up for this. I was like, you should sign up for it. You should sign up for it. You should sign up for it too. And it's, I had the opportunity. Luckily, someone did not show. And I had the opportunity again. You guys opened that door for me again to be able to go again this year. And it was incredible. Like just learning more and even being there from the first year to the second year, learned even more, becoming a better rider, learning how to move, and then talking about how to learn to ride in the rain, because that's something I was like, man, I've never really rode in the rain, so we had a little bit of that experience, because we can't control the weather, we
Right.
can't anticipate that, but it was good, because it's like, all right, that's another notch on my belt, and then riding home, again, downpouring, I'm like, that's another notch on my belt that I can now say I experienced. I know these riding boots I'm wearing right now are not the riding boots I should wear in the rain, but again, the message, whether it's riding or learning to ride or anything else, it's like you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable environment or an environment that you're maybe not 100% sure with to grow and evolve. And of course, that's relative to everyone. My uncomfortable environment is different than everybody else, but I'm also the type of person that's not afraid to put myself there. And I think that sometimes people maybe aren't ready for that. And I 100% understand maybe you need someone to hold your hand or someone by your side to do that. And that's totally fine. But I think it's really important to say, hey, like if you are willing to push yourself and you are comfortable doing that, like take that step, because once you get through that door, once you get after that step, it will so be worth it. And it's sometimes hard to realize that when you're in the midst of it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I love how you continue to train like you do in everything you do. I've being alongside doing life with you, like you work at everything. Like you don't take anything like, oh, I've got this, like I can handle that. You always like put you train hard. Mm-hmm. I've trained physically in the gym with you, but just everything you do it to the best of your abilities. And I've noticed like in motorcycling specific, like people get their endorsement and it's like, okay, cool, I'm like the best rider in town now. And I'm like, no, bro, like that takes time. Like I feel like even for me and Kristen, I don't know if for you too, but whenever I take a training class or I do an advanced class or riding anything, or I get an opportunity just to experience a different riding environment, like I always take that because you can always learn something. We're not
100%.
Perfect at everything, right? And we've got to train for it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's really important because like that mentality of thinking or knowing like, all right, I'm the best, I have everything I think I need or might need. It's like, it's that point, that pivotal point that you're going to be humbled, because it's like, it's not. And I think that's where we're constantly growing, and we're going to have growth as individuals in any aspect we do, of saying, hey, I may not be the best, but I'm going to get there. And it's something I used a lot in training mentality wise, was like, all right, I may not be where I want to be or where I'm at, but I know that I'm going there. I'm getting there. I'm putting the work and effort. And it's the road to that goal, whatever it is, or that road to that aspiration is never a straight line. It's never linear. It's upwards, it's backwards, it's down, it's off of a mountain a couple times. I mean, not in a bad way.
Are you referring to the chest plant that Kristen endorsed while we were on our dirt bike trip?
I'm so glad I had that chest plate.
Yes, I'm so glad too. And that brings me to my next point. I really wanted to know. So, yes, she took a tumble via dirt bike. And it was my fault.
A handful, no.
It was my fault because I took a tumble right in front of her, and she like turned the corner and saw me in the distance, like down, and she was like, fuck. So like grabbed the
brakes,
of front brake and it went flying. So, props to you for keeping it together. And she kept going because this was like the very start of the pass, mind you.
Yeah, we just climbed a bit. We were actually on an incline.
Yeah.
We were coming back off the backside of it. And like Kristen's ahead, she's leading, and I got to the very back to make sure we were all good.
Make sure I didn't get left behind.
No. And when I saw her fall, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I know she's tough, but shit, that hurt me.
Yes.
Like, so I like put the bike to the side and like ran down the hill, and I'm like picking up the bike. I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? She's like, is the bike okay? Is the bike okay? Did I do anything to the bike? Is the bike? And I'm like,
and we're like,
who
no.
cares about the bike? Are you okay? And I'm like, ha.
So that scares the shit out of me because your line of work, she's a personal trainer. She's an elite athlete. She competes all the time. How does motorcycling fit in that life? Like, was there any like hesitation for your line of work? Because if you get hurt, you're out of work. You make this business your business. So how does that work?
So there's been hesitation from Alex and that like being careful and being aware, not just from the aspect of hurting myself, but he's seen a different side of it in terms of, seeing people come in from crashes and et cetera. So he's seen a different aspect where it's like, hey, just be careful. And I get that 100%. Like, no, a priority is that. I know also that things cannot be, you can't always predict or make sure everything doesn't happen if you don't want it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So for me, it's like, all right, just be super safe, be super cautionary. But it's like, at the same time, like, I don't want to stop living life because of that. And I think that's always been a mentality of mine. And of course, you're going to make sacrifices at a certain point in your life. Like when I was competing for the CrossFit Games, I said no to like ice skating. I said no to snowboarding. I said no to so many things, going out on weekends or doing certain things because that was my goal. I really wanted to qualify and make it to the games. And then year after year, continue to qualify again. And so I had to say no to a lot of things, but that was a decision that I made. That's like, all right, I'm okay with that. And then as the years went on, I was like, man, like I've put a lot of things kind of to the side or on hold for competing, and nothing's wrong with that because that was a decision I made. But now I'm moving to a space where like I'm getting maybe a little bit older, but there's still things that I want to do. It's like, all right, I really want to ride. I really want to do all these things that I haven't done. I really want to go snowboarding after it's been like 11, 12 years now. And I know I'll still go out there and do it. I just, need to get a board and boots and whatever, rent it out and go with friends.
We got you.
We'll make that happen. But I think for me, it's like looking back at all those scenarios, it's like, all right, there are things that can happen. Like there is no way to predict them or to kind of keep it at like, hey, like that's not going to happen. It's like we have no control that like life will happen. And I think for me, it's like, all right, I love being on a bike. I love these adventures. And even though it can be a little crazy and unexpected, it's like I want to embrace that. It's like things will happen or won't happen as they should. And some people will debate that and say, whatever they want to say. But I just think from my personal experiences and going through experiences that I've had that, we cannot control, we cannot be the God of our life. Sometimes there's things that will be unexpectedly happen, but at the same time, I can at least try to make the most of every single day and every single moment that I have. And sometimes that involves different experiences, and I'm 100% fine with that. And so it is, if something happens and I, luckily I don't crash, knock on wood, but if something happens and I, put myself in a situation where I'm not able to do that, I was like, I'll figure it out, I'll adjust around it, I'll maneuver around it. And I think that's just where like sometimes I'm being like silly putty, and you have to mold yourself and you have to be dynamic and fluid like water.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Do you
I
feel
love that.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was any specific moment where you shifted into that mindset? Like, was it after the CrossFit Games?
That's a good question. I think I've always been dynamic in the sense where I'm always going to I always want to try different things. I've always wanted to like experiment and try a little bit of everything just to say, hey, I've done it. And I think competing for something so long, putting such a big block of time to just one thing, I think that pushed me in the opposite realm where kind of like the pendulum swings the other way, where it's like, all right, I did focus on X for so long and I did make that a priority and that was great. But now I kind of want to move into these other aspects of exploring or doing different stuff. Like I want to do all these other activities that maybe I haven't had the opportunity, or ventures or travels or places I want to go. And I think that's maybe kind of encouraged a little bit more of that recently now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Thank
you.
I'm
especially excited because you keep bringing up that you want to go on like long adventures and then put saddlebags on your bike. And I'm like, oh, hold up. So that means we need to plan some cross-country trips. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would love
least
to do
Sturgis.
that.
You should come to Sturgis
that's something
with us.
I would love to do. I would love to like go to Sturgis and like get the full experience and ride and pack everything. And like I'll probably need bigger saddlebags, or I need like an extra bag in the back. But we can get that done. That's no big deal, right?
We can help you with the packing. There's plenty of different options. And as you can tell, like me and Kristen take one pair of pants. Like when we first started writing, I had a mound. Like I had a sissy bar, but it was like stacked to the top, bags full. If Mitch is watching, Mitch, it was so funny. She invited me to ride to Sturgis with her. Like she was going out to do some stuff for MotoFam, and I was like, heck yeah, like I'd love that opportunity. So it was so funny. They're coming from California. I'm coming. They're meeting me in Vegas, and then we're going out to Utah. We get to Utah, and we're at the first stop, and they had been riding from California all day. Mitch has like a bag on the back of her bike, okay?
Oh my gosh.
A bag. Like she did have some stuff in the truck that was coming behind her with all this stuff for her to set up. But it was so funny because she was like, Brandy, how many pairs of shoes are in there? And I was like, I had 4 pairs of shoes. 4? For a trip to Sturgis. Why I needed 4 pairs of shoes, I have no idea. But believe me, like when I first started riding, I don't know if you did, Kristen, but my bags were like loaded. In all actuality, you will need a pair of pants, couple clean shirts, especially if you're going to an event. You're going to want to support that event, so you're going to buy a shirt. So
sure, that's a good point.
You got clean underwear and some socks. It'll all work out.
Yeah, dude. I packed up a Sportster for my first trip from Florida to Sturgis. I was a teenager, so yeah, I didn't even. It's a whole nother story. But basically, yes, I overpacked for a Sportster. And it's funny because every time I had to get something, I would have to dig through these like mounds of layers. And I'm like, you know what? Cutting this out. All my other trips, I started packing smarter. I started learning all these things. And actually, we started like a little Amazon list that we're going to keep on contributing to, because there are some useful little like tidbits of information of like, you should probably pack in these cubes, like compress them. There's all sorts of things that we do to pack lighter. Yeah. And it makes a world of difference.
I could totally benefit from that because I'm a huge overpacker. Like I'd rather have extra just in case. And I think when we went to Temecula, I was like, man, like, okay, I gotta like minimize. I only brought boots, the boots I have, and then I had, I think, my slippers, just like flip flops, and then couple items of clothes, maybe an extra pair of pants or a shirt that maybe I didn't need, but then like my toiletries, I was like, my toiletries, my face cream is essential. My body lotion is essential. But it was good because it's like you had to literally fit those 2 things, everything in the saddle packs. And actually it worked out pretty well. But that was such a awesome and unique, cool experience to be able to go down there and ride with everyone and do that. And I want to do more of that. So I for sure, that's like bucket list. Like I want to travel more. I want to do more campouts. Like I want to do I think it was like the Babes in the Dirt, or the Babes. That's more dirt bike riding, but like all those other campus, like I want to do more of that because one, I want to meet more people in the community of riding, but I also want to like explore and check out. And I think, I don't know how you guys feel, but as you get older, I think maybe you start to realize like time is maybe not necessarily on your side. Not that you don't think that when you're younger, but I think when you're younger, you're like, oh, I'm kind of invincible. I have all this stuff and all this time. But then as you get older, you're like, you have maybe more obligations or more things you're committing to. So it's like, what can I create in my space? What can I carve time out for? Or what can I say no to something so that I can say yes to something else? So I'm trying to say more yes to things that I can go and explore and enjoy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I feel like Brandy maybe has the same kind of philosophy. It's that we wake up every day not knowing if we have another chance. And for that idea itself, we feel like we have to give it 100%. We have to be at 100 miles per hour, giving all of ourselves to everything we want, to the people that are in our lives, to the projects that we have. Yeah. And for like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, yeah, every day it's like you're granted an opportunity instead of you're just given, like, instead of like you just wake up and it's another fucking day.
Yeah.
Like,
it's Monday. Yeah. I 100% agree. And I think that mindset for me shifted a little bit more when my sister passed. And I was a little more cognizant, aware of it. It's like every day is not guaranteed, next week, next month. And I tell this people to a lot, and I might be repetitive for those that are listening, but it is so precious. And I think not saying you have to experience something like that to understand that and appreciate that, but I think as you shift your mindset or you start to take a different approach, we're like, all right, awesome, I'm alive, I'm breathing. And I think also perspective of like, I remind myself sometimes where I'm like, man, if I'm really stressed with like filming or projects or programming or all these things that I need to do, I'm like, man, I sometimes catch myself like, oh, I'm kind of being negative. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Or I'm like, I'm exhausted. I've just filmed like 8 videos. I still need to film 2 more. It's like, you know what? people halfway around the world are more concerned with having a house or having a roof over the head, or they're worried about the food, or they have clothes they've been wearing for the past 12 years. They don't have closed-toed shoes. They have slippers, or they're walking barefoot. And I know that may be kind of extreme, and of course there's lots of shades of gray in there, but I think it's really important to like remind myself of that perspective. And my sister had a great mentality, like, I'm not, every day is not guaranteed, make the most of everything. And I think I've really tried to absorb that when she passed and try to really embody that and also live it. And it's like, I catch myself, I think, as we go down this path of life, we can get into these rivets or like, oh man, like this and that. And it's like, all right, yes, that's something to acknowledge, but then take a step back and all right, cool. Like, I'm grateful and thankful for my eyes that can function. I'm grateful and thankful for my body to function so that I can ride a bike, so that I can clean a barbell, so that I can climb up the stairs. Because then you put perspective and you're like, man, I see people. And I remember I was in California recently, and this elderly couple, not super elder, maybe their 60s, 70s, but she was having assistance needing to get up. She was really have to hold onto the rail. Her husband was helping her up there. I was like, man, like just to be able to have the strength in your legs to climb stairs or climb a pair of stairs, whether that's stairs in your house or stairs on the beach, whatever. And it's like, man, like I'm blessed and thankful for what I have, but then reminding myself every single day and sharing that with people. It's like, and we can, that 100 miles an hour, I totally get it. And sometimes you might feel like you crash and burn. I know we talked about this recently too. Like if you don't take that time to reset for self-care, and that self-care could be whatever it is, but if you don't take that time, you will hit a point where like you will, crash in your bed and sleep for 12 hours. And it was just interesting because I was listening to the podcast with Joe Rogan and David Goggins, and he was talking about, Joe was telling David, like, where's the time? You're always constantly going. Like, do you ever take breaks or vacations? He's like, no. He's like, I think he called them his mental mindset or these mental breaks. And he's like, if I'm driving in the car, it's a mental break. If I'm eating, it's a mental break. So instead of being on your phone while you're eating, take a moment just to sit and stare and eat your food. Or if you're driving, I was like, man, I need to incorporate that, because it's like you get so busy and you have so many things to do. I feel like I catch myself not getting everything done in the day, and it just rolls over the next day. So it's like there's no reset. I'm like, all right, if I can just if I'm driving, obviously you're aware in the car and you're driving, you're cognizant, but take a mental mindset break to like disconnect for a second or just decompress, so then you can approach wherever you're going with a fresh head, in a way, if that makes sense.
And that's where motorcycles come in.
Yes, 100%. Touche to that.
But that makes sense, because like I remember, like I go so fast. Like I always have this communication line, that communication line. I've always got like so many like things spinning. Yeah. And lately I've just been like, time is important. Like that's all we have, truly is time, and it can go away really fast.
You can't get it back.
Yeah. So being aware, like in the car, that makes sense. I had an accident in my truck. I think almost 2 years ago during AIM Expo. One of the companies that Twisted Roads actually asked if we could drop off some stuff and pick up some stuff for him. No problem. I went to pick it up, and I was so hyper focused on everything going around, everything at the dealership, getting to them on time, and this car made like a right turn in a non-turning lane or something, but the guy in front of me like just slammed on his brakes. But because I had so much going on, I didn't have time to like, oh shit, I do need to hit my brakes like back there, you know? So it's cool. Like, thank you for that reminder, like to take that moment when we're driving in the car and just being aware and being present. Yeah. It's a good mental break place. I didn't think about it being in the car.
Yeah, in the car especially. But, I mean, you have to be even 10 times more aware on the bike.
Oh, yeah. On the bike, I don't think about anything else.
Times.
100%.
It's constantly like, that guy's going to hit me. That guy's going to hit me. That guy is definitely not paying attention. He's on his phone.
You're cool.
You might kill me.
Yeah.
But that's how I love that. Like, on the motorcycle, that's the way, like, that's my escape.
Yeah.
Like, I always tell everybody, I'm going to go run away. It's either to a hot spring in the middle of nowhere or a freaking cot in the middle of nowhere, but on the motorcycle always elevates that experience.
And I think, I can't remember who posted it. You posted, I think, or you posted it, and it was just about I think you posted about getting on the bike and going out. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I need. Like, to be able to disconnect and just go on for a ride, even if it's like a short 10-minute ride or 20-minute ride, 30-minute ride, whatever. But being able to just disconnect and clear your mind. And I've told people, I just told a friend today, it's like when you're on the bike, you are outside. You're not encapsulated in this object or car, like thing that's moving at X miles per hour. You're on the bike, but you see everything. So it's like you have to be so focused and so present, but at the same time, you're letting everything else that's on your mind go away, because it's like you're there. And I think it's such a good reset. I'm like, I think that's where I'm like, this like like this little monster on me that's climbing on top of me, like pushing me down. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I gotta get that monster off me. And the way to do that is to go for a ride and just be able to like be in nature and feel the wind, even if it's cool, like feel that wind on you. It's something so different that whether you're on a jet ski or a motorcycle, whatever it is, like you feel that wind, you feel that presence, and you just, it's like this release. And I think people have it and they find it different ways. The friend I was talking with today, he was saying that when he goes out and hikes, like when he was hiking, like that was his kind of release where it's like, man, I'm grounding myself. I'm getting outside in nature. I'm like, that's awesome, because that, I think, being outside in nature and grounding yourself, whatever it is, whatever allows you to reconnect or disconnect, is so huge. And however you find that, tap into that and utilize that when you feel overwhelmed or stressed or feel like you need to disconnect. Like engage in that, embrace that, and use that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we kind of want to tap into further down the road. One of the dreams we have for Daughters of the Road is to actually go on trips, like long curated trips, like a week or so or 2 weeks, however long we manage to plan that. But along the way, because we're those dirt bags where we want to, well, I am, want to camp out, be around a campfire. Brandy loves being around a campfire, but
me too.
Yeah, and to also incorporate experiences where we learn about mindset. We have people that come in from therapy offices and talk about PTSD, how to overcome things, kind of like going back into the science of it, and then harping on like maybe using your hands and kind of disconnecting from the other thoughts you have, doing a metal shaping class or a silversmith class. One of our friends did that, but incorporating that along the way. So somebody either comes in for that night in that campground or something, and we work on something.
I love that.
Yeah, doing something like that where it disengages you from all the either negative self-beliefs you have, the things that are weighing on you that you need to get done. You know, you kind of, it's not an escape, it's more of a redirection, right? So it's like you get to redirect for that small amount of time with these people and learn something, build your confidence, and I don't know, just
grow and learn, like connect people
100%.
to be their best version of themselves.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what we're going to get from the tours, and that's something in the works. And
That's awesome.
the way things are going.
I can't wait to hear what's coming underneath or what's coming next. I think that's really important, because I think it makes me think of kind of reconnecting to like who we are as humans. Like you think of like tens of thousands of years ago or a couple 100,000 years ago, what we were as humans and what we did. Like we worked with our hands, we're integrative. Like we didn't have all this technology, and of course there's benefits to technology, benefits to everything that we have. But if we can pull ourselves back to like painting or creating or doing some sort of pottery, or you know, being a little bit more focused on the mental aspect or the mindset training, I think that's huge. And I talk to people all the time, like mindset training and the mindset component of exercise and fitness, or even nutrition and health, is so much more important. I feel like it has a little more weight than the physical aspect. Yes, you can be physically strong, but if you tell yourself that you suck and you tell yourself you have this negative mindset and you're down on yourself, that is going to have a huge impact into other things. And we were just talking about it the other day in terms of having that mental mindset shift, but having those physical attributions of whether it's doing yoga, whether it's starting a fire, like that's like, oh man, I created fire. I'm like a caveman. Hell yeah. You know, it's all these different things. And like for you guys to be able to bring that together and feature that and offer that, I think that's huge, because I feel like there's so many women, men, people out there that would like leap towards that. I know I would. I'm like, where do I sign up?
Yeah.
When's the first one?
Because that's kind of like what we do anyways when we go out, like with our like small groups. Like when we went to the campfire, like how crazy was it that we pulled up into a cave that had kindling already, that we were able to make a fire. We made breakfast or lunch or dinner.
Soup.
Yeah, we made dinner like in the middle of nowhere. We literally had backpacks on. Did you guys
Yeah.
I still am mind blown that we jumped on. I'm sure people do it all the time. I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there, but we had no idea what we were doing. The sun was coming down. We literally put our backpack. We're unloading bikes, and the sun is literally like,
we better go.
Bye, sun, bye. I'm like, crap, where am I going to take us? Like, I know this area a little bit, but not well enough to like be like, this is where we need to be. And we stumbled upon this amazing cave that I couldn't be more grateful for, because we talked life.
Perfect.
We talked life. We like helped each other and like things that we were going through in life at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
We made that fire. We had a wonderful dinner. And then the best part, we all slept in the same tent. Let me mind you, that was a 2-person tent.
Yep.
And we were like this.
Just cuddled up.
But I felt so protected, because I knew that you were on the right side of me, you were on the left side of me, and we were all three there to take care of one another. And whether it had been an animal or some person, the hills have eyes, we were going to be all right.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. And speaking on that, like, you are tough, and we definitely feel protected around you. I mean, Margo comes swinging. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go. Check out them shoulders, though.
She's all, oh, these?
This way. But like, I want to know, like, do you struggle with limiting beliefs? Like, I know everybody, I feel like everybody does, right? I mean, there are thoughts in your head where you're going through, like, do you go through exercises? Do you go through, go on the bike where you're like, oh, I can't do this. But how do you actionably think in your mind, I can do this? Is it just that simple thing?
It's tough because I just spoke to someone about this recently in terms of like that mindset of like thinking oh, you can and cannot do it. I'm like, sometimes I don't know, but I don't even give myself that mindset. And the perfect example is when we were dirt bike riding up that mountain. There was points where I was like, oh shit, man. I was like, I don't know. I was like, there was points where I was like, I mean, this is my first time riding the dirt bikes. Well, I mean, when we went out to the campfire, I was like, this is like, oh, so shaky. I was like, I don't fall. I was like, but I was like, I try not to tell myself like, don't, or like, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not going to get through that. Cause our mind just says, kind of starts to go down this like negative spin. And so I think I've learned over the years, it's like, all right, even if I have those thoughts, because we're all human, I think we'll have those, like I had those like, shit, am I going to make it up this mountain? Like, don't puss out, Margo, like you suck it up and do it. But at the same time, being realistic, it's like I had those thoughts were there, and it's kind of like on the outskirts, right? You think of like if you're climbing up this hill and you have this road and you have like the drop there where you're like, all right, you can go off either side, but like you're aware of it, it's there, but you don't focus on that. Because it's like, if I focus on that, then I'm starting to put my attention there. I'm going to start to think, okay, I'm going to fall more. I'm going to crash more. Oh, there's that edge right there. Don't go there. But then I'm looking at it and thinking about it. And so those thoughts were there and present. But I think I had to push them to the side. And even though they were kind of on the peripheral, I was like, all right, I can do this. I'm going to make it through it. And then when we got to the top, I was like, oh, okay, made it to the top. And so I think that's just one example. But I think I do have those at moments. But I think I try to push them to the side, and especially with training with CrossFit competition, like one of the worst movements, one of my hardest movements, and still to this day is challenging, but I still do it because I should get better, are strict handstand push-ups or deficit handstand push-ups. And it's like, as much as I would be negative, I'm like, I can do this, I'll get better. And even if that better came in like years later, I knew that it was going to come. And it's tough because I think we all have those around us. It's like, you think of kind of like the good angel and the bad angel on our shoulders. Like we all have those people kind of talking to us, or it's our own mind talking to us in different aspects. But it's like, all right, we can acknowledge them, but then put them to the side and focus as much as you can on something else or something that's more positive. And it's difficult. We all struggle with it. But I think the more we start to focus on the positive, the more we can look at there, the more likely you're going to go to that path. Think of it like a rivet in a road, like where a wheelbarrow is. After a while, you have this rivet, and it's just easier and easier to follow in that. That can be a good connotation or a bad connotation. It's like, oh, I fall into this bad habit. It's going to be harder to get out. But if you start to continuously, all right, this is the path I'm going to create myself. This is how I'm going to think. This is my mindset. It'll eventually come, but it takes repetitions. It takes years. And just like you practice a deadlift, or just like you go on more rides with your bike, it takes that mindset training of journaling or thinking. And it takes time. And it's hard because on my fitness app, I have a community group chat. And we had these 2 challenges past 2 months. And we have 2 mindset training days, usually on the weekend. But for a lot of people, those mindset training days are the hardest because it's easy to go to the gym and work out and do that. For some people, the mindset to like reflect on yourself and say, all right, what am I doing? How am I being accountable to myself? How can I help myself be better? Those are the hard parts, but it's getting to that nitty gritty and taking time to do that will help you get better. But again, it takes repetition.
Yeah.
Train is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Not just physically, but like mentally too.
Mentally.
Yeah.
You've got to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah. And it'll become easier. It will. It's hard. It takes time. And just like I tell myself, like when I got on the bike, I'm like, man, like, am I ever going to feel more comfortable? And I did. I got more comfortable. I'm like, all right, I'm wearing a tank top. I'm wearing a crop top, not a full big ass jacket.
I'll never forget, like one of the first times I think you followed Kristen and I. And it was funny because I don't know why I do this now. Used to, I would always be in the front because everybody would be like, you have to lead. So I'd always jump in the front and I would lead. But now, like, I don't know, after a few years in riding, I didn't ride in a big group. Like when we had started the Sin City Moto Girls, we rode with all kinds of people, all experience levels. It was crazy. Like it was a madhouse. And I was like, okay, we need to educate people, and we need to send people to riding academies. We need to, send them to advanced riding classes and group training classes because it can be dangerous. But now that like I'm not in that environment, and the reason being is because with Sin City Motor Girls, we didn't do anything when 2020 happened. There's a lot of older people in the community, and it was just too risky. So we didn't do as many events or gatherings. So I started riding more with like just a smaller group. And when I started riding in a smaller group, like I got to the back, and I always just got to the back because one, I wasn't being told I had to lead. And two, like I love watching everybody. Like I love making sure everybody is okay. I always want to know like if somebody needs to pull out of the pack because something's like they're scared with something with their bike or anything. Like I want to be able to do that. And if I'm in the front or in the middle of the pack, it's harder and it could be distracting to other people in the pack. So I always just get to the back and watch. But where was I going with this?
I don't know. I get to the back because I go way too fast.
Yeah, I mean, I do. But wait, what were we really? I literally lost that.
Oh, we were talking about the first time we went riding.
Oh, yeah. The first time. See, that's where we were at. See? It's my brain. It goes faster than my mouth. Squirrel. Yeah. We were riding, and Kristen was leading. You were in the middle, and I was in the back. And Kristen, of course, Kristen rides, Kristen's ride. Like, Kristen goes.
Is that super fast?
Yeah, she was probably running, we were probably going like 85, maybe 90. We might have gone 90 a couple of times.
I go 90 everywhere. Yeah. 95, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but you were
cops.
like right there. Like you were right. But I literally had the biggest shit-eating grin when we got done riding. I don't know. I know I called
I think
you.
we were going to your house because
Yes.
we're trying to go to your. I think that's what I remember that. Yeah.
And all I could do was smile in my helmet. Like my cheeks hurt so bad after that ride because I was like, "Fucking go!" I'm
Yes.
like,
to be honest, in that moment, I completely forgot that you were a new rider. But in my defense, I typically do like to push people. I'm one of those people, like, if I was a personal training coach, which I am totally not, but if I was, I would be the person that's like, go, go, go.
Do 1,000 burpees.
Yeah. I mean,
me, I'd be like, do you want me to hold your hand?
yeah, no, that's where I feel like that's a good balance is that, you know, I'm that kind of person that pushes you out of your limits constantly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she's there to like pick you back up and welcome you in and make sure you're comfortable. And that's a good balance. I love that.
I do
because
too.
I'm not that I'm not that
Yeah, that cuddly.
yeah, but
No, that was a for sure good push because I was like, man, I don't want to slow them down, but I was like, man, she's going fast. I was like, well, I better keep up.
you did great.
you did
so
amazing.
phenomenal. And do you feel like that made you a better
For sure.
rider?
I think that made me for sure being like, all right, I can handle this. And I think getting more comfortable because the first time I went on the freeway for a ride was with my neighbor. And he's like, don't worry, I'll go slow, like 65. I'm like, okay. And I'm pretty sure he was like hauling 80. And I'm like going like 70. I was like, oh my God, this is so fast. Holy shit.
That's awesome.
And I was like, well, again, I don't want to slow him down because we were meeting one of his friends in Henderson. And we were going to go like do like the Lake Mead ride. And I was like, man, just like a little bit faster, Margo, a little bit faster. But it was like holding on for dear life. And I was like, I need to like relax my forearm. I was right now, I was like relax my forearms. But doing that with you, I was like, all right. It got me out of my comfort zone and like I can handle it. And again, being very safe and aware, it's like knowing what I'm capable of. And I think that's where knowing your limits, like don't just go balls to the walls, right? Like especially like again, if you're using the parallel training, like knowing how to scale back, like you got to push hold, like that threshold you need, like that high intensity is beneficial, but knowing that threshold, knowing what's relative. So it's like, it was for me, it was good to get me out of that zone. Like, all right, I'm more comfortable. And then I think when we went to Pahrump for that event, I was like, I think I pulled 100. That I was like, I think Michelle was in front because Michelle was up front, and I was like, man, she's hauling balls right now.
Michelle does right that.
But I was like, all right, keep up, and I was like, I'm going 100. I was like, and I was kind of like, yeah, but I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody.
Yeah, but always remember, like I'm a big proponent of this, is to ride your own ride.
Yes,
100%.
Always. If you
I
don't feel
agree.
comfortable doing that, don't fucking do it, and I'm not gonna
Exactly.
tell you otherwise. So yeah, I always tell people that if I see you going 60, either A, I know something's wrong, or B, I'm gonna slow down to let you catch up.
Yeah.
But then I'm gonna push you a little bit more again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'll start to learn that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally always say that ride your own ride.
I
Yep.
say that every time, like especially with the community rides, like we're starting those back up, and we did one for the January one, or not January, yeah, that's the first of the year, right?
Yeah.
New Year's Day, we did a ride that day, and I was like, okay, I need to be better at like telling people like, hey, we're gonna ride in staggered formation. Hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna stop here, and da 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 da. Like I need to be better at like doing that part. But I'm always like, man, people should just know, like, ride your own ride. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I need to actually say that because you will. There's people that try to keep up, and then it gets crazy. Cindy would always make me laugh. You guys know Cindy, the Body Temple, but she she would always ride her own ride. I'm like, can you just speed up? But she was the definition of ride your own ride, because it didn't matter like how fast I was riding or any of the girls in the group were riding. Me, Cindy, Lindsay, Malik, like all of us rode pretty hard. Like we were always riding very, very hard. And Cindy would always be in the back and just be like,
chilling.
I'm having fun.
That's
on
totally
her
fine.
Sportster that she refused to get rid of.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember for sure.
Yeah. So, Margo, who are your influences, whether that be in fitness or in motorcycling or just life in general? Who were your biggest influences?
Well, I say for motorcycles, for you guys, for sure, like being able to see other ladies and just see what you guys have done and like created your own life and literally like ride your own ride, but also do life and do you how you want to do it. And I think that's so inspiring because even though I've only known you guys for like, I was trying to remember, I was like maybe 2 years, if that. Like, I feel like I've known you my entire lives. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're talking about earlier about you meet these individuals and you meet these people and you just connect. And it's like you're able to share stories and pick up literally like the next conversation, even if that was like 3 months before or a week before or whatever it is. And so seeing you guys within that motorcycle realm has just been so inspiring and so awesome. The community's been so incredible. And then being able to meet all these other women and build these relationships. And I think once you get to see people and you go riding, you realize it's a very tight-knit community and it's just good people and good energy. And it's like, obviously like when Mama T's son passed, which was super sad, being able to come in and go support her, but also see so many people come in and support her as well. It's like, there is so many good people around there. It's like, I'm so honored and blessed. I'm so glad I found you guys and found these amazing people. I'm like, I would just want to experience more of that with life. So you guys have been a huge inspiration, a huge like light for me in that realm. And so I'm super grateful for that. In terms of influences in life, I think my sister for sure had a big impact. I think she for sure made an impact at such a young age too. Like she passed away at 20. I was 22. My other sister was 18. And so being young and seeing that and being kind of have not my life made for me, but having an aspect or having a situation like that unravel, it really tried to shift my perspective and say, all right, what can I do to maybe still continue life, but also honor her? And I know she's no longer here, but she would want me to still continue life and not dwell in the past and kind of not continue on because of that. And so she's been a big inspiration to continue forward. And I think it's like a reminder for myself. It's like, all right, if I'm struggling, if I'm going through something hard, or I feel like this is the end of the road for me, or hey, do I decide to close this door? I decide to close this chapter. Do I continue on? She's kind of a reminder. It's like, all right, like I have this opportunity. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. But if I at least like give it 110%, I give everything I have, and if it doesn't work out, then that's fine. I can continue to move on. But if I leave a foot back or I don't give it all, then that's maybe where I'm like, all right, now I need to maybe adjust how I'm looking at things. And so she's been kind of a huge aspect and inspiration. And it's tough because I've had people ask me like, oh, you're like, who do you look up to, or who do you? And I've never really thought about that stuff. I know my mom has been a huge inspiration also in terms of toughness and mental strength, because what she went through, like she lost her best friend, then she lost her dad, and then she lost her daughter Kirsten, and then she lost like one of her good cousins right after that. And it was like, man, she just lost like all these people in her life. And to continue forward, I think be strong for myself and my sister, that was something that she really did to kind of keep going. I think it was very of a big struggle for her and very hard, but it was inspiring to see her to still continue to like have this kind of outside perspective, even though maybe she was hurting on the inside, to still be strong for us as her other daughters. So that's been a kind of a huge inspiration. It's like, all right, now it's like, I want to be able to help my mom and give back to her. And I think she's at a point now where she's trying to figure out what she wants and where she wants to go and what she wants to do. So it's like, now it's kind of like paying it back to her in a way, like full circle. So, and it's tough because I feel like some people are like, oh man, I look up to X or I look up to Y. And I'm like, that's great. I've never really like, and I don't know if I'm just weird. I'm cut from a different cloth. I think my sister's been a huge impact. And then meeting people like you guys have been a huge impact. And also people along the way. I think having the experiences, meeting different people. Obviously Alex has been a huge influence in my life. And then all the people that I've met along the way in terms of sharing their stories or having these opportunities has just been a huge blessing. So I think I've tried to take from every scenario. I'm like, all right, what can I learn and what can I pivot from? And I think something that keeps popping in my mind, and I don't know if it's because of one of the photos I sent with you guys, but having the experience to go in the Titan Games and have that experience, but also being able to talk with The Rock and share our unfortunate stories of losing someone close to us, I think that's something where you get to bond with someone and just having a conversation with him about that in regards to like what it's like to lose someone, even in the context when you don't anticipate, you can't plan for it, but how do you evolve, how do you continue forward with all the things on your plate, and just having that conversation and continued conversations with him is just, again, it's another aspect. It's like we're all, when it comes down to it, no matter who we are, what avenue or how much attention we have or what spotlight we have on us, we're all human, and we should treat others how we want to be treated. And if someone's going to not treat, you know, the janitor with the same respect as the CEO, it's like, why would you not do that? Like, everyone has a good soul. And I always think about this sometimes when I see people who are like, they disregard people. They don't even say thank you. I'm like, no, give thank you to everyone, because they are someone that's just as deserving as that thank you as is someone else. Just because someone has this high position or high notoriety doesn't mean they deserve it more better than someone else that's, you know, maybe cleaning the toilets or taking out the trash. Like, they're amazing, and it shows that their hard work and ethic that they're doing day in, day out is almost more impressive than other aspects. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but
I love it all.
I have squirrel brain too.
I think that's why we relate.
Exactly.
I know that's why we relate. But
Yeah.
that makes me think of something from this weekend. Chris and I had the opportunity to go to the Meekum show and be with
Mike Wolf.
yeah, Mike.
Letitia Klein
Yes,
invited us.
I know Letitia invited us,
Yes.
but Mike, her
Her boyfriend.
There you
yeah. Yeah, officially announced.
I
No,
know.
just
I'm
kidding.
like, I don't know
On this
on all
podcast.
of that. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't know what we. I don't know where that is. But anyways,
Partner.
but watching him interact with like the public, and I'm not a big TV watcher. I don't. And I mean, I don't watch TV. It's very rare. If I do, it's like an adventure show or like Matt's Off-Road Recovery. Like it's something like that. It's something on YouTube that I enjoy, like four-wheeling. But anyways, watching him interact with people, I didn't realize like how well known he is.
Yeah.
And literally, we didn't walk 5 feet without him being like pulled. And the way that he handled like people, I was so like, wow. Like if I ever was in a big spot like that, I hope that I'm as good as him. Like he just acknowledged and interacted, engaged. Chip Foose too. We got to sit at the table with Chip Foose, and I didn't realize like how amazing he is. But sitting at the table and getting the opportunity to like actually interact with them and see how engaged they are and how much they wanted to know about like what we were doing. I'm like, why would a CEO care about, I'm not saying we're janitors, but we're like that dynamic. It's
like a different position.
Yeah. But that's what I love. And I love that even in this space, we get to bring people on like you. I mean, you're obviously a huge influence, but there's people that don't even have an Instagram that we want to bring on.
Yeah.
Because they have stories to tell. They have life
100%.
experiences to share, and everybody can learn from everybody.
I agree.
And he just like put that like on the plate right there. Like it's, I was just like, wow, that's freaking awesome, because that takes a lot out of you to have people constantly like being like, hey, can I get a picture? Hey, can I get your autograph? Hey, I watch your show. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, wow, like he literally was right there, and he was like, yes.
That's
Like,
awesome. But it
and
speaks
that-
to his character. It shows who he truly genuinely is.
Yes.
And that's so important. I've never really I don't have an idol. Like I don't have anybody. I have a lot of people that influence me that
Yeah.
I am so grateful for. But like you, we must be cut from a different cloth.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we get inspiration from everybody we meet. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Margo, what do you have coming up? Do you have anything within the immediate future, 5 to 10 years down the road? Like, what do you got going on?
It's tough because like I remember thinking like 5 to 10 years. I'm like, man, like 5 to 10 years. It's a long time ahead, and it's
Right.
tough because I think there's a lot of things that I would like to achieve and like work towards. I mean, immediately, if I'm looking like the immediate future, I'm training for American Ninja Warrior. That's like,
Big announcement.
just kidding. I have the opportunity again. I applied in 2019 and got selected. My run didn't air, but I had this opportunity again. I was like, man, like I really want to train. I want to become better and try to make it further along. So that's kind of an immediate thing. The production company is the same one that did it in 2019, and also the Titan Games. So it's cool because getting to talk to them, it's like you made these relationships and connections with people. So that was awesome. But I have that upcoming. But I think in the near future, the 5 to 10 year goals or aspirations of what I'd like to do, I'd like to continue to grow my wine label and wine brand. I'd like to continue to grow my fitness app and help influence people and help people with their fitness journeys and make an impact on their life, because I know how fitness kind of helped save me through a hard point in my life. And if I can hopefully inspire others or uplift people that are struggling at some point in their life, if I can hopefully have fitness be that realm for them, that'd be awesome. So I'd love to continue to do that. I'd love to be able to share and highlight other people and bring other women and other individuals, men, all people, to be able to share their story. Because I feel like just like what you guys are doing, highlighting these individuals that have these amazing stories and showcasing what they're doing would be great. I'd love to be able to have a fitness studio and wine bar so that we can work hard and wind down. That's obviously my motto. But showcasing how, you train in the gym, how you recover, how you relax, how you enjoy life, and, what's something that you can do that all relates to all people, and that's all different. But if I can have a place that culminates all that with fitness and with wine, that'd be great. And then even past that long-term goal, I'd love to be able to have like a community center of some sort that could bring in other avenues or aspects of life, people of all walks of life that could help provide educational content, whether that's about agricultural, whether that's about business, whether it's about mechanics, whether it's about mindset training, physical training, all this stuff. Because I know not everyone has the resources or ability to do that, to be able to have a place that can offer training or offer educational resources to maybe underprivileged people or underprivileged individuals that don't have that. That would be great. And I'd love for Vegas to be the hub of that. Again, this is like probably like 10, 15-year goal aspirations. Obviously, that requires a lot of capital and resources, but to be able to do that would be great. And of course, there's a lot of things sprinkled in there. Like I'm going to be doing the Modern Hunter course with Sig Sauer in June. To learn how to hunt is going to be so exciting. Like I did the Hunter Games last year with them, and that was phenomenal. But be able to learn more to understand, hey, I want to be able to like hunt my own meat and be able to provide myself. How can I prepare myself more in other facets that would be beneficial for myself, but also highlighting that what Sig is doing and sharing that with people. And then of course, like learning how to become a better shooter and all this other stuff. I know I can like ramble on and on and on and on, but that's kind of like in a nutshell, small nutshell.
Yes.
that I'm trying to work towards.
Yes.
And of course, more motorcycle rides, being able to add more things to my bike. I talked to Maggie and her boyfriend, and they're like, hey, we have a fairing and a windshield that maybe, I was like, I'll totally come over and check it out.
Yes. Yes.
You definitely post Sturgis. I literally wanted to put my bike on a trailer. I looked at, and when we were in Sturgis, because when I got the lowrider, I didn't have anything on it. It was naked. Bare. And I rode all the way to Sturgis, and on the way home, I told Dustin, I was like, I am going to buy a trailer. Like, I'm not riding this motorcycle back. And I've got to, thank you, Memphis Shades. They were like, they reached out and we talked, and they were like, oh, hold on, let me see if we have product at this place. And they were trying to get a windshield for me to get home with.
That's
like,
awesome.
It was really awesome. So shouty. Memphis Shades for getting me home safe.
Community coming through.
Yes,
Exactly.
100%.
Yes. So you heard it. She's got tons of things going on. You can follow her on Celeste by MA, right? That's how you
for the fitness
spell
app.
it, for the fitness app. The Goat Wine is her wine company. 321 Go. It's up here on her name tag. You can follow that on Instagram, TikTok, all the jazz. She's got a YouTube channel. Everything is. It's all just
so much
incredible things.
Yeah.
Incredible things you've got going on. And seriously, we appreciate you so much for taking this time to come on and share your stories with us and hang out with us all the time, because we steal you as much as we can.
100%.
But also,
I appreciate you guys.
We want to say thank you to Red Rock Harley. Red Rock Harley is where you got started with your motorcycle journey. Shout out to you guys for sure. That has been amazing. And I think back to the days where I'd go in there and just like walk around and be like, ooh, one day I'll have a bike. One day I'll have a bike. And now that one day is now. So shout out to you guys and shout out to Red Rock Harley. I appreciate all the support. They just amazing community. And I think for those that are interested in wanting to learn, I've had people reach out a lot like, oh, I'm interested in learning how to ride, or I'm interested in learning how to shoot. I'm like, do it. I will encourage you. I will support you. I may not be the person to teach you, but I can show and share who you need to go to. And it's just an amazing place. And of course, the service department, somebody in the service department was asking who is the best person in the service department. And I didn't ask that, but I know the answer. But I know who's the best person at Red Rock Harley. Yeah. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yes. We have a freaking phenomenal team. Everybody works really hard, and I'm very grateful to be part of the Red Rock Harley Davidson team. Yes. I love doing marketing for them. In fact, I am going to plug them right now because we have a rad ride coming up this weekend. It's the Chili Buns Run. It's about 165 miles round trip, leaving the dealership, ending at the dealership. Nice. And we've already got like our pre-registration. We capped that at 200 because we do ride pins. Okay. We're at 140 people. That's so it's going to be an amazing weekend. So it's supposed to be great weather.
The ride's going to be great. Like, all the stops are really fun. We do ride the ride. We make sure that it's not anything crazy where we're going to put you in the middle of the 15 right now, because the 15's completely jacked. If you're in Las Vegas, you know this.
Yeah, avoid that.
Avoid it at all. So we actually rerouted and changed some things up because we want everybody to have a great experience. And that's one of the things that I'm very grateful for, is we create an experience like no other dealership, I feel. And I feel like our team actually holds everybody to those standards.
Yeah.
So
what time is that? What day? And how do they sign up?
So you can sign up online on Eventbrite. We have the link in bio at Red Rock Harley, or you can also sign up in the store. So you can see anybody at any cash register, and you're going to save the Eventbrite fees if you just paid at the dealership. And that's going to be on Saturday. Registration starts at 8 a.m. And you just need to be back to the dealership by the scheduled times on the flyer, okay? We have people that get so upset, and I'm like, there's a reason we put times, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to score cards and figure out who's won. So the timelines, I cannot stress them enough. Please try to check in before the check-in times are over, and be back to the dealership. It's not a race. We give you more than enough time to do 165 miles. So
That's awesome.
Plenty of time for you to ride that ride, enjoy it, mix and mingle with friends, but just be very aware of the times, because I feel like that's the biggest complaint we got. And I'm like, we've done this for a reason, guys. Help us out.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
So we look forward to seeing you at Red Rock Harley Davidson for the Chili Buns Run on Saturday at 8 a.m.
Yeah. So follow Red Rock Harley, follow 321 Go, follow Daughters of the Road. We're on all sorts of things. If you go to any one of those, I'm sure you'll find us. But I want to say thank you again, Margo,
Of course. Thank
for
you
coming
guys.
on. Like, we really admire you for your passion, your grit, and most importantly, your heart. And I feel like everybody took away, I'm sure everybody took away a golden nugget from you. And for that, we thank you.
Yes,
I thank you guys.
you.
Thank you both, ladies.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
Love you.